Well, I'll set it up even maybe this
Okay,
way.
cool.
Something that keeps coming up that I've referenced, but I think is maybe having just a whole episode talking about is just like the inflection points, the reflecting moments that all of us have, and they generally, in some ways, you can call them the forging moments, right?
Hey.
But these moments that all of us men we have in our life, it's just are we willing to let them change us, transform us? And what ends up happening, most men, is we have these moments, they hit us right in the face, or a mirror is held up. And we have to really look at ourselves and who we are and who we've become and why we are the way we are. And we could either feel a high level of shame, disappointment, guilt, wallow, lead to depression, anxiety, insulate more, or you can get really mad about it.
Yeah.
And then start deflecting like crazy and blaming everyone else except you about the problem.
Yeah.
And I think something we'll talk about in the tension of life, right? There's always a third option. And I think that's what I really loved when I started this podcast and started interviewing people, is like I loved those inflection points, those humbling moments, those reflection moments in people's life where they really, it changed them, it forged them into who they are, and they allowed those moments to change their life. And so today I kind of wanted to just have an episode just about that. Like, what does that mean? What does that look like? They can happen periodically throughout our life, throughout our day even, but there are probably some big ones throughout, you could really think about. It's like, what did I do with that moment? Did I just wallow and withdraw, or did I deflect and blame? Or did I actually allow it to change me? And because at the end of the day, that's God, using your life, using those moments to go, hey, I'm molding you into something better. I'm molding you into my son. So anyway.
Yeah, it's like we've said before, like I don't know how, like, this is not an episode to say this is how God works.
Right. Yeah,
but no, not at all. But I do, like, there's kind of peace in knowing that, hey, you're going through this like weird time right now, which by the way, I am.
Yeah.
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 And Card, we were just talking about this with something I'm going through. Like, hey, maybe he's not as interested in the outcome here. Maybe he's interested in building my character.
Right. Hey, how about that?
And then when you kind of hear somebody else say that to you, like you have before, it's pretty humbling. And then there's also some peace you feel with it, because it's like, okay, not everything is tied to this thing I want to happen happening.
Right.
But yeah, I do think that's true. Like, you think about all the small times that like you've had to like have your pride poked a little bit. Like, 100%. You go into a meeting and you're like, I'm probably going to be the one that knows the most about this subject in this meeting today. And then you quickly realize that there's somebody there that's a lot smarter than you are.
Yeah.
And you do something embarrassing to where everyone else realizes that same thing at the same time.
Yep.
How do you respond? And I think a lot of guys, they either like turn up the heat where they get even more angry, like you were saying.
Yeah.
Or you can be quickly humbled and try to learn a lesson from it in a way.
Yeah, and that's what's weird. We could always think to those moments. It's like, usually it's circumstances or people that allow these things to happen. Something is in your life is putting up a mirror, whether you're realizing it or not. But there's something in your life, and
It's usually your wife.
Wife is a big one. Wife's a big one. 100%. Yeah, absolutely. Actually, it's funny you mentioned that. I was like listening to an old podcast I did, an interview, and the guy was like, one of the big takeaways was like, man, listen to your wife more. She'll tell you how much you're, which is kind of part of even my story is thinking, you think about it. It's like, if you really think about these moments, and I think about one of my big ones, is it doesn't have to be 100% true. If someone's specifically giving you feedback, but the 80% that they've nailed you, right? You have to receive that. But most people, what happens is you have a confronting moment, an inflection point in your life where they're really trying to, you could tell the heart behind it is to help you, to serve you, to see you become better. But we take the 10 or 20% that they were wrong.
Oh, yeah.
Or they didn't quite get right, and we focus on that, and we go,
100%.
ooh, now I got you.
Or
now I'm in a fight.
You could be like me and like, I don't really like that person that much.
Yeah.
Completely blow past the truth or whatever feedback they're trying to give you.
Yeah.
And just be like, I'm going to ignore that and I'm going to choose, I don't really like you.
Yeah.
I'm going to avoid you from now on.
Right.
But those people are probably the most valuable people in our lives.
Well, people that we don't like, they give us, well, one, yeah. But two, we generally will have pretty reflective moments from them unintentionally, I feel like, where they'll push a button. Well, their behavior will continually be a real thing, and it'd be like, is it them or is it me? And that's where you really think about it. So I don't know.
And then it gets complicated because it could be, in some places, it could be both, maybe. Yeah. And so sometimes you could be right, partially right, and they could be partially right, and finding that compromise or like ability to like figure out, okay, what's the real truth here? Where really am I wrong?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you're probably overreacting in this, like, whoever this person is, like, maybe they didn't say it the right way, which is probably not the right thing to do, but there is something in what they're saying that's true that I could work on in me. You know what I mean? So, like, can you get past the kind of theater of however it's communicated to you and actually get to the truth nugget in there?
Yeah. Because, I mean, the people that we don't interact with regularly or in our lives, we can easily dismiss, right? But it's the people that love us and around us all the time that's the ones that hurt the most. So maybe so either one we can really dismiss. But I mean, I'll give my kind of one of my big ones was I was 29 years old. I was working for
about 20 years ago.
Hey, my goodness, get out of here. It wasn't over a decade, so I shouldn't. Yeah, which is wild to think about. But I was interning for a nonprofit, and I had two women I was working with who were older. They had been married. They had definitely lived a lot of life and been in business and had definitely some rough things happen to them at probably the hands of their former husbands or men in their life. So it was easy for me to dismiss, but they kind of, after working with them for a few months, they pulled me aside. And generally the feedback was, I could kind of sum up in like, you see, you are passing us by. You are of like completely rushing through every bit of our relationship, whether especially like the working part and the extra stuff.
Were y'all like planning something?
So we would have weekly meetings, the three of us, about planning for that week or the things to come.
Y'all do like events and stuff like that?
Yeah. And so they were, so anytime I would like, because what ends up happening is, they want to connect. And this is where as a man, and I think it was a great lesson as a leader, is, they started monologuing a little bit and kind of coming after me and making assumptions. And that's what I mean by the 20%. There was things that I was like, ooh, I could refute you right there and get really upset about that. But there was
Thursday when I said that it was Wednesday.
Right. Well, I think they were kind of like, they were making assumptions about my character of why I was doing it.
Oh, that's a little deeper.
Versus actually just confronting my behavior. Right.
Yeah.
But I really did feel like the Holy Spirit, I wanted to speak up and, that feeling of defending yourself. But it was like the Holy Spirit kind of like pressing, almost like, kind of put his finger on my chest a little bit, closed my mouth, like, hey, just receive for what the whole they have to say, maybe not every little thing, because that's what ends up happening. We get, we want to refute every little thing, but the spirit of what they wanting me to engage. They were wanting me to be present. And I was using them as the footstool to the next thing. I was trying to rush through this because there was something more important, something I'd rather do. And I wasn't appreciating really what we were trying to do and build. And I felt like they were in the way.
Mm.
And therefore I was treating them that way. And also, like, we were together for over a year, and it was like, this is probably a relationship I need to build beyond even just the work. So they wanted time at the beginning or the end to connect and talk and get to know each other. And to me, like, that's a leadership trait. We're in the midst of always trying to push and build and move. And what do we end up? We miss the people, and therefore they're not loyal to us. They don't go to bat for us. They do the bare minimal because we're not willing to actually connect with them as human beings. Now, I'm not saying you have to have like a after work party at the end of every day, but there's something too of like those moments of like, hey, when they want you, they're looking for someone to talk with or just engage with, allowing those times just to that human connection goes a long way. And so that was a leadership lesson I learned at 29 from that standpoint, but also just a life lesson of like, hey, be where your feet are. Stop. And it was something I literally was doing subconsciously. And it was probably something that I'd done my whole life of just like, if I didn't like the activity, I rushed through it and just tried to move on to the next. And I wouldn't.
People can feel that.
Yeah. People can feel that. And it was a big inflection moment because it allowed me, it's like, all right, I am treating people like a burden. I'm treating this opportunity. I'm not really fully engaging because also I'm afraid. Mm-hmm. I'm afraid if I fully give and it doesn't work out, then I'm a failure. I already feel like a failure. But that's where it started really rooting out like, oh, there's a level of fear when I pull away that I'm constantly doing that in a lot of my relationships because it's scary because I'm not fully engaged. And I realized I was like them having that confrontation just opened up this like portal into my life of like, oh, that's why some of my relationships haven't worked out. That's why I didn't fully dive in because I was afraid of what could happen. So I didn't fully commit. I didn't fully engage. And that was a big inflection moment going forward where I have that question in my head with anything. It's like, am I disengaging because I don't want to fully commit? Or maybe I'm just disengaging.
When you say disengage, are you disengaging from the people or are you disengaging from the actual job itself? Like, or both?
I think both. Okay. It was definitely both. It was 100% like both. Like I was like fully I think both. I was like, on the surface level, like I would say out loud, I wanted to do a good job. I wanted to be, but then there's part of you that's like very surface level. It's like this, like outward. That's when I've talked about the outward living versus outside inside. Like I want to be perceived as a hard worker, so I'll just do the right enough, And so anyway, it's just interesting. I was like, I think back to that moment, a lot. And you're like, man, I think I needed that. But if I didn't allow myself to sit in it, to hear the full feedback and go, thank you for that input. Yeah, I'll work on it. This is what I heard you say and I'll work on it. But most of us aren't willing to sit there because it's like, man, you just call me out. And so I'm ready to go.
Yeah.
Let's fight.
Yeah.
And I'm sure most of it was weird. I was like kind of out of body experience in the moment where most of these women are like, this is probably scary for them because I think every fight they've ever had with a male in their life has led to a knockdown, drag out. And I think even for one, like it was a physical thing. So,
gosh,
Yeah.
And
so you just kind of like, all right, how can I, that's pretty arrogant to say, but there's a level of like, hey, how can I, in the midst of them helping me and serving me, allow unintentionally, but be a new standard of men in these women's life where I'm like, okay, I'm hearing what you're saying and I'm going to do different. I'm not going to just brush it off.
Where they can have a different experience.
Yeah. And so I think that's where you kind of have an out of body moment. So these forging moments, these key humbling moments, I think you got to really receive them, And I think that's what's been fun about this podcast is I've got to hear other men's and it's like, it's changed my life. It's allowed me to engage more. It's allowed me to love more. It's allowed me to be a better man, serve people well. Some people, it's like, I've made more money because I was a better person. People wanted to work for me more, go to bat for me. So, anyway.
It's funny you say that. I literally had, so my boss, his name is Michael, and we were having a conversation yesterday because we're about to bring on some new team members, and our company's growing and it's doing great. And, we're trying to find we've got the business is working. Now it's just, because we're growing, you have to add more people. So you have to find the right people.
Right.
And him and I had a little bit of a debate yesterday. Of course he won because Michael's a Jedi master when it comes to argue. Don't argue with Michael Mitchell, by the way, ever. It's a bad idea.
Yeah.
But we were basically talking about, okay, when we bring people on, like we need to have a more like uniform training process. It sounds so corporate, but it kind of, I mean, you have to like
onboarding process.
Yeah. I mean, you have to like really be intentional about, hey, you're not where we want you to be yet, but in 6 months, this is how we get to where you're super valuable for the company. And obviously, you and I've talked about before, but like we both have coaching football backgrounds. And so in coaching football, it doesn't work like that.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no training. If you're in a position, your job is to coach wide receivers, for example, if they don't perform well, you're out. And so I kind of always had that ingrained in my mind because that's really how I was brought up professionally in coaching football in my early 20s or whatever. And so anyway, get to the point. Michael and I were arguing a little bit because it was like, well, if they don't reach where we want them to be in our company performance wise, well, then the answer is just to get rid of them. Of course, that's where my mind went. It's like, well, if we're going to invest in someone to come do X, Y, and Z, then they've got to, hey man, get on board or get out. You know what I mean? And Michael very calmly but firmly told me, he was like, hey man, that's not how it works with people.
Right.
And anyway, this was literally 24 hours ago. Yeah. I was like, yeah, it is. You got a job to do, man. Let's do it. You know what I mean? Like, if you can't do the job, just get them. But his point was, and it was literally, it's so funny you say that. I was learning this yesterday, is that, well, no, don't just focus solely on the training. Get to know the person, learn about the person, which naturally, like, you and I typically do. But I think when we get like in a professional environment and we're trying to like reach goals and stuff like that, some of that stuff can go to the wayside pretty quickly.
Right.
You know what I mean? And it becomes solely about performance and, hit your target or you got to go, man, right. But it's not necessarily that. He was challenging me to be more like, well, if they don't hit their targets, what is it about you, in the training program that you designed that didn't work?
They didn't train them well.
And of course my mind and my ego was like, well, it's their fault.
Because your system was no way it could be flawed.
No. And so anyway, I mean, it's,
right.
Anyway, that might be a little bit of a rabbit trail, but it's kind of the same thing. Like, seeing the people too behind whatever issue they're having with you or issue you're having as a whole, and trying to figure out how to connect with the person rather than just get to the performance. And some of the best business leaders that I know, they've really got this way of being able to do that. Like, of course they fire people, like they're good at firing people, and good meaning like they know when to do it, but it's always really vetted out before they do that.
I think there's something really interesting you're saying, because I think as a leader, you always got to start with you. That's what the leader everybody wants to work for, be around, be led by, is like, okay, they aren't performing well, so maybe it starts with me and how I train them. Right? Which I would say a majority of leaders think that way.
I know, man.
They think their system isn't flawless, right? But I think you have to, the oil drips from the head, right? Hey, what am I missing? That reflective moment, actually ask those questions, build that into your habits and behaviors. And then if you get to and they're still messing up and you've tweaked everything, it's like, okay, then you can then go, it's this person.
Okay. Yeah.
They either don't have the ability to complete the task. I've asked them to do something that they're not don't have the ability to do. That's not them, or there is a character flaw, and a lot of that comes to the surface when stuff keeps happening, right?
Yeah.
And I think you could probably evaluate, Bo, people that you've seen lose their job, and you probably went, okay, yeah, maybe it should have happened 3 months earlier, but that's what ended up happening.
You got to vet it out, though.
Yeah, there's a level of like personal ownership, especially if it's something's unproven, right? Like you're just creating this onboarding process.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, maybe I could tweak and then the next step is, oh, yeah, it's something they're incapable or unwilling to complete it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. No, I totally agree. And it's kind of, it kind of hit on 2 points for me. One, the main one being, hey, don't be so black and white with this stuff.
Yeah.
Especially when it comes to people.
Yeah.
And I think like guys that are around our age that are probably getting into more like where they're managing people. Like me, like I'm learning it in real time, by the way. I literally, we're growing, some people that I'm going to manage at MedPlus. So like, we're literally going to be doing that. So there'll probably be some good episodes coming up. So anyway, I don't know how to do that. I've never done it. I've done it with, 20-year-old college athletes, that are much simpler than, than people in the professional world. But, so anyway, yeah, it hit on that, but then also, just that conversation I had yesterday, man, that was kind of humbling. It was like, cause I thought, man, I had it all documented out. This was how it's going to work,
It's great.
And and it was a big kind of slap in the face and a slap in my pride. That was like, cause Michael was like, hey, that's good. That's good. That's good to have that structure, but be a little bit more nuanced with it and focus on the person, which that was humbling for me. Cause it was like, oh wait, I thought I had it figured out, but, I don't think I do. It's almost like maybe you have to do it to truly figure it out, but, I quickly figured out that it was like, yeah, I think his line was something like, yeah, I can tell you haven't done this before, which to my ego was like, cool. You know what I mean? Just like a punch in the gut. And, but I needed it.
Right.
I definitely needed it.
Yeah.
I didn't like it.
Yeah.
But I needed it.
Yeah.
Really bad.
Right.
Because
I think we all want to be at the same place, Bo, of like, okay, if let's say you mess up in a situation and maybe Mike did this in real time in front of you, it's like, yeah, I want someone to give me the benefit of the doubt and first go, okay, what could I have done differently?
Yeah, that's true.
And then go to, okay, this is what they did. This is, I would say from, going back to my example, that's what I easily went to. I would say my life up to that point was something like that happened. How do I pass blame? Let me try to avoid squirm. I had a friend who calls it squirming. How do I squirm out of the way? Or how do I just completely internalize it, let it affect my identity as my person? And it's like, no, but in that moment, it was like, I felt like God propping me up of like, no, my identity is set. I am good in who I am. It's just, I need to change my behavior, my mindset up going forward.
Yeah.
And like learning to adjust that. And then, and then I could, by having that, then I can help somebody else.
Yeah.
I could then go, okay, is this an identity thing where they aren't getting it or they don't have the capability to do it? Or, is there really just a behavior adjustment?
Well, and just you saying that, like I can count plenty times like where I was in my 20s trying to figure out like how to be in the professional world, like, and having goals and targets and stuff you have to hit. And man, guys were super like patient with me.
Yeah.
And like, had it been me being my own boss, I would have like, see it, dude.
Yeah.
And so it's just like that was a big moment for me because it was like, okay, no, there's a lot more nuance to this.
Yeah.
There's a lot more like, there's a lot more to people. And like, these people have, homes and spouses and mortgages and all these things. And, they're probably not as, obsessed with hitting this goal at this company that you are.
Right.
You know what I mean? They just want to come in and do a good job. And you want everybody to be like that, but that's not realistic.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I mean, the more and more I realize, like, in leadership is like, am I asking somebody to be something they're not?
Mm.
And I think in the work context, that means more than anything, you know?
Oh, yeah.
Like, am I asking a sales guy, am I putting somebody in sales who, hates being around people and, doesn't get energy from, being more independent and actual? It's like, that wouldn't be a sales guy.
Right.
Right. But it's like, yeah, it's similar. Like, how do we develop people in a way that, one, we're starting with us, and then they communicate, they go, hey, Bo is the type of leader who he would take ownership over what he's got. Maybe I need to be that type of guy, that type of employee or gal, right? Who goes, all right, something's not working. I need to start thinking about me, thinking about what I could do better.
Yeah.
It's like, that is in itself leadership, right?
Yeah, it's true.
But if you create a culture where you're passing blame, constantly calling the people out, but not taking any personal ownership, then that's what everybody else is going to do.
Yeah.
Which we've seen that plenty of times.
Oh yeah, you see that all the time. And there's even a lot of successful people that are like that just, like we talked about in episodes before, that leave a lot of people in the wake of their success that they've burned. And but to leave like a lasting impact and legacy, like, as Christian men we want to.
Yeah.
Or at least when you step back, or at least when you like when you're at Bible study, that's what you say you want to do. But I think a lot of times, like when we get at work, you can put the work goggles on and the money goggles on, and not have a lot of problem like casting people to the side. But it can't be like that as Christian men. Like you know what I mean? Like we're not called to that at all. And man, that's tempting.
Yeah.
That's really tempting. But yeah, there's got to be a way to like balance the two. Like, value the relationship, but then also value the job that they're there to do, or,
Right. Because at the same time, the company needs to be productive. The organization needs to be productive and efficient, right? Or they lose money. So that's the thing.
Or none of us have a job.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's like going back to the whole mortgage
so
and,
there's definitely an argument for that.
Yeah. I mean, I think deep down, that's where everybody does want a leader that has high standards, because that means we're doing better.
Yeah.
But there's a tension of, but yet I don't want you to neglect the humanity of who I am, right? Treat me as a number.
Yeah.
It's like that held in tension. We talk about it all the time here.
Oh,
but yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. And another piece too, like with the, like I feel like sometimes you can hire somebody. This is going totally business, by the way.
Yes.
But like you can hire somebody that is maybe more impressive than you are.
Yeah.
Or they may be better at this job than you are, and that's hard too. Yeah. Being like, I'm going to bring this person in, and they could maybe look back in some ways, or they could outperform me. But that's what you want. So like, I doubt there's a lot of successful businesses out there that haven't hired people that are extremely impressive enough so to where the managers.
Yeah.
I don't know. You see what I'm trying to say? Like, it could be.
Well, I mean, that's where I think some people say that's what you need to hire, is people who can do the job, where you're working yourself out of a job.
Right.
But I think but it doesn't happen as much, is because of the people don't have the ability to reflect, take those moments and go, man, why am I feeling so insecure about this person, who's really great at what they do, and I've hired them to do it, but they're doing it better than me. Like,
get out, you're doing too good.
Yeah. Well, dude, you'd be shocked how much it happens. It really does, man. People's egos, right?
Yeah.
When you got type A, borderline narcissistic tendencies for some people, they don't want to be outshined. They don't want to somebody else look like the hero. And, you're going to have high turnover that way, and you're not going to attract great people.
Yeah.
But you want to be a type of leader that attracts great people, and you're willing to let them just thrive. I think that's a mark of a great leader that's not insecure about people doing great.
Yeah.
It's not insecure about people outperforming them. Like that in itself, like that's going back to the identity piece. Like your behavior does not affect my identity, Bo. I am set. I am good. I am clear in who I am and who I'm becoming. Like, you know, but should I, change behavior, think differently, have a different mind? Like, yeah, of course, but too many times people start acting things around like, oh, he's better than me. How do I make him look bad or make myself look better or try harder or do this or, maybe give a little jab here and there. And, we don't use those moments of that. Sometimes like insecurity popping up is a great one to that inflection. Like I feel that insecurity rising up where I feel like I have to overcompensate, be louder or withdraw. That is like, why do I feel that way? That is a great inflection point in our life of like, man, because it happens a lot. Why is this person making me feel insecure about myself and my qualities and my abilities? Anyway.
So when you get in that moment, question for you.
Okay.
So when you get in that moment and you feel humbled, embarrassed, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to think of like a real world scenario, like example of like this, or, I mean, it could be the story that you told about you and felt kind of embarrassed maybe, or like, wow, I really am not putting into this what I should be, and I'm being called out for it. One, how do you identify that that's happening in real time? And then two, what's a good response? Like what would be a good, like, do you just say nothing for a little bit? Do you kind of digest, or is there a good response for that? Or one that shows
I mean,
growth?
like I said, I think the one thing is I felt the urge to defend myself and call out the things that they had wrong versus list the things they had right.
Yeah.
But I think sometimes it is a feeling. I feel it in my chest sometimes. I feel this feeling I want to withdraw, hit the ejector seat, pull away. How do I get at? It's like sometimes it's like a fight or flight. It's like it is. People want to like get away, or they want to immediately let's start, figuratively throwing bows.
Yeah.
It's like how do we? It's that you could feel that coming up, and it's like okay, and take a deep breath. Let's be quiet. Sometimes that's the best thing. Is like let me just start by silence. Just hear it, receive it. And then, like, I mean, a great skill. I mean, I'm a big fan of Stephen Covey's 7 Habits is like, seek first to understand. I was like, all right, what I hear you saying is this. Is that what you're saying? But it's a practice because, like I said, like like fight or flight kicks in and our hormones go. And the only thing we know is to either fight or to run. And we don't, or freeze. So I guess that's the third option, right? We just kind of like, but how do you recognize that's what's happening is just take a deep breath, just listen to what's being said. I think as Christians, we can invite the Holy Spirit in that moment to give us, because like, the fruit to receive all that is his fruit, right? The fruits of the Spirit is the ability to hear that self-control, right? Be more self-aware, like, allowing yourself to listen, to understand, and it actually makes you a better person, right? And there could be a moment at the end of that you need to stand up for yourself. 100%. That's where you got to use the wisdom to understand. It's like, hey, I'm not owning that. That's not on me. That's you putting that on me, right? There's 100%. That's part of the equation. But I think being self-awareness is the biggest thing that you can do in that moment. Is like, how do I become more aware of like, all right, what's going on? Why do I want to either run or fight right now? It's like, oh, it's because they're doing something that most people haven't really done before in my life, or I haven't allowed that to happen. So, but sometimes it needs to be you get mad in the moment and then you come back like you did with Mike. Maybe, I don't know, maybe you did it in real time, but like, oh, you know what? He was right. I needed probably that check, realizing,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Michael was kind of, with Michael, he has a great delivery method. Like, so there's never a point where I'm like, oh, I feel like he's attacking me right now. No, he's got this, like I've said, kind of this Jedi way of being really gentle,
Right.
but slapping you in the face at the same time.
Yeah.
It's definitely a gift. He's good at that.
Yeah.
And it's so needed. Like I need it. I need it a lot. I'm like a lot of guys our age that are just like productivity, progress, productivity. Like anything in the way of that needs to be out of the way because like there's nothing more there could be nothing more valuable than that. And that and it never goes away. You know what I mean? Like the relationships that you build, like those are the things that you treasure. Like the people that I work with are the people that I love. Like I love the people I work with. And that's so much more valuable than like my efficiency as a salesperson or in like business or like trying to sign a different contract or like, you know what I mean? It's like those things go away. And then if you focus on just those things, like signing the next contract, getting the next deal, pushing people out of the way to get whatever you need, trying to work by yourself because you don't really trust anybody else. Like, that's never going to go away and it's never going to satisfy you. And I've learned, I've learned that, like it doesn't, there's always going to be something else.
Yeah.
Like I'll forget about that one and I'll be on to the next one. And I'll be stressing myself out, anxious, trying to get to that one.
Yeah.
Kind of like what we've talked about before. Like it's just never enough. That stuff's never enough. It's the people. It's the people along the way. And so I don't want to burn people. I'm trying to be very intentional about that right now because kind of being new to like managing people and like being in a leadership position, it's that's definitely like a balance that I'm going to have to learn. Because it's not just efficiency at any cost.
Right. Which is a good thing.
It is a good thing.
But it's like too much of a good thing is abusive.
I know. I know. It's the wrestle.
It really is the
that's
man.
The wrestle right there.
But I think, God, if Bo, I know you probably feel some level of like a leadership, stepping in, leading more other people. Like you got to learn other tricks. You got to learn other tools to, it's not just production, because at the end of the day, not everybody's motivated by that.
Yeah.
And so, but people are in a work environment and need to be motivated to be more productive or to do their job well, but maybe not everybody's motivated for production's sake.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Yeah, for sure.
Do we have that story or do you have any more questions? Do we want to mention that one?
Yeah, I was going to kind of talk about that story. It's kind of the same thing, right? We're talking about.
Yeah, I just thought it. Yeah. Did you want to talk about it?
Yeah,
you're a big fan.
Hello. Yeah, you want me to talk about it? Okay, hello.
I do love the story. I do love it.
Yeah. So Cartwright sent a really good clip of Dax Shepard, who I kind of have I love Dax Shepard. For some reason, I came across his podcast years ago, and he just was like, he just seemed really real. Like unlike a lot of people in Hollywood, you know what I mean? Like he seemed really real. Obviously he's married to Kristen Bell, who's in a bunch of famous movies. And they've been married, almost 15 years, as he was saying in the clip, I think.
So, yeah.
Anyway, so him and, so they're in Nashville. Dax and Kristen are in Nashville. At a steakhouse. And he was, like the small things why I like him. He said he loves a salad bar. So he goes to this place because there's a salad bar, usually you picture people like that eating at like white tablecloths all the time. Not Dax. And so anyway, he's up at the salad bar getting his salad and he's wearing a t-shirt and that offended somebody else in the restaurant, another man in the restaurant.
He's in the South. We get that.
Yeah.
So I know people like that.
We do get that. That's a good point. He probably didn't even register because out there in LA, like they don't.
LA, he's from Michigan. Yeah.
He's from Michigan. Yeah, that's right.
Oh yeah, dude. Like the first time I went to church in California, I grew up going to church where my dad wore a suit and tie every day to church.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and I go to California, go to church, and people wearing tanks and got sleeve tattoos, and you're like, what? I'm like, oh,
this isn't right.
Okay. I thought dressing down was a golf shirt. So
that's what you wore like on Casual Friday.
Right. Yeah. It was a golf shirt and maybe jeans. Jeans. That's a little risky.
But only dark jeans.
Yeah, dark jeans. Yeah, none of that whitewash crap.
That's so funny.
So anyway, yes, I imagine it was a little bit of that culture southernness.
Yeah, see, I didn't pick up on that. That's a good point.
Yeah.
So he's wearing a t-shirt. It offends a guy in the restaurant. Like we can all picture what this guy looks like, you know?
Yeah.
And,
probably got a half zip.
Yeah. No, dude, he's probably got, he's nice enough. And so anyway, does the waiter come up to Dax and say, "Hey man, you've offended this guy because you're wearing a t-shirt"?
Yeah, I think it's somebody let, no. Oh, his buddy's eating with him.
Oh,
told him, he goes, "Hey dude, this guy's getting real upset about your t-shirt."
Okay.
So anyway.
So they must have overheard it or something.
Yeah, and then Kristen
says, "All right, we should buy his meal for him."
Yeah.
And so
an initial thought is, wait, what?
Yeah.
But now you, like, in hindsight, anyway. Yeah. Sorry, I'm still in your thought.
No, I like it. Yeah, I've got some gaps.
Yeah.
So anyway, they pay for his meal, and then Dax like motions over to him like, "Hey man, I'm so sorry," basically killing him with kindness. And then the guy's wife recognizes Kristen.
Yeah.
Right? Because Kristen is famous or whatever.
Mortified.
And then both him, the guy, and his wife were mortified, and they actually left through the side entrance of the restaurant.
Yeah.
Anyway, the whole point being, what a humbling moment for that guy.
Yeah.
Coming in with this massive ego. I mean, can you imagine the ego of being like, "Hey,
that
what he's wearing
offends me.
Like that's nuts. But anyway, what a humbling moment for him. I wonder how he took that, and like, did he say, probably shouldn't be that guy in these restaurants?
Right.
Or, gosh, I really don't like that Dax Shepard guy, even though he just paid for your meal. Anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, really, really interesting.
Really, yeah. Like, that guy, like I said, had three choices in that moment leaving. He was one, obviously, the initial hit, I'm embarrassed. I overwhelmed with kindness, like, because of how this guy treated me. And it caused this inflection moment where he could then reflect on and go, all right, I could go, woe is me, I'm such a jerk, and not really change, and just, like, oh man, my wife, I kind of showed my rear there. Or he could get really ticked and, like you said, like, oh, that Dax Shepard, you know what, I'm going to get him one day.
Give him a bad review.
Yeah, that's right. I'm going to get on his podcast and
give him 1 star.
That's right. Really bring down his rating. No, but like, or go, man, why do I feel like I have to, speak up in that moment? Why is this the hill I'm willing to die on? Somebody wearing a t-shirt in a restaurant, whether he comes there all the time or, he's only been there once or twice in his life. But, and then like that it should be because I'm affected now, another person affecting my wife in this moment. Like, ooh, yikes. But it is funny. Like, I'm sure especially the wife's reaction created that more, hopefully that reflection point. Cause it's like, there's a good mix when we talked about at the beginning, people we don't really know that well versus people we don't like. So he sees this guy in a t-shirt who he doesn't know from Adam and goes, I don't like that guy. You know what? I'm going to let everybody know about it. Waiter, in that. So there's that brings that inflection point. But then then the people that know us and love us then kind of can respond in that moment. It's like, wow. I would say sometimes it's been the best conversation I've had. I'll come home with my wife and been like, hey, this happened today. And I'm thinking X, Y, and Z. What do you think? And their perspective on that situation has brought me clarity or helped me, whether it's been, oh no, it was that person and you did great. You did, or you know what? I have noticed you do that too. Yeah. When they said that. So it's like, there's something too, almost like both sided, that I think this is what is great about this example. And I think it's fun because you're right. Dax tells it really well. I'll have to put the link to the short.
He's got that accent. He's got like the Northern Yankee
accent. Yeah. Almost like a mix of Midwestern.
Yeah, that's right. He's kind of Midwestern.
Midwestern Yankee. They're all Yankees, right?
Yeah. They ain't from here. Yeah, no, I love that. And I love the humility for Dax and Kristen. I say their names because I feel like I know them. You know what I mean?
That's a problem with podcasts today. So when you feel like you know people too much.
Yeah, that's right. We're in the same space.
Yeah.
Same industry.
Same industry.
But also love that response, like the ability to swallow your pride and not only not acknowledge and say, dude, I'm Dax Shepard and look at my wife as Kristen Bell.
Yeah. Oh, he could have gone over there and 100% embarrassed him in a way that was probably more embarrassing to him, to Dax.
Yeah.
Like, I'm a big shot.
But he not only
know
didn't,
who I am?
Yeah, he didn't choose, he chose not to do that. And then on top of that, pay for his meal. So that to me, I love that. I mean,
like
cool.
that, I think that should be encouragement to us. Like, if we really want to really challenge people, like, man, do it in ways that really, like, is like kill with kindness in a lot of ways. I think that's a good example.
Yeah.
But it's also like he could have, like, I'm sure his t-shirt was probably $100-$200 t-shirt. It's probably one of those designer t-shirts. So, which is kind of even funny about it.
Yeah.
So he could have gone over there and bowed up. It's like, but who wins with that one?
Nobody. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, nobody wins.
But in that moment, like
but it feels like you win though.
Really, that is a win-win in that situation, the way they did it.
Yeah.
Because one, like, hey, they feel better about the response. And they kind of got to go, I just bought your meal, bro. And that guy got to leave, not because they embarrassed him, but it was a way to not embarrass him with strength, but embarrass him in a way with, that allows change to come in.
Yeah.
Not overpower, which is a lot of people think that's the way to get people's changes with power. It's like come in with, a level of humility. It's like you're inviting that person to change in that moment.
Yeah.
Which is a very Christ-like feature, right? You're inviting that person to change. Anyway, I thought that was a good one.
Isn't it interesting how some of those small, like we've been talking about, these small moments that maybe nobody else even notices, that like really hit us in our egos. Isn't it funny how that kind of, those type things can shape us more in a way? Like I can remember example after example of things like that happened in my life that probably nobody else in the room noticed.
Yeah.
But I still remember, and I've like, it shaped me a little bit, like not necessarily like, ooh, don't do that again, but like, hey man, you really don't need to be like that guy, overconfident. Like you don't need to be, you can know your stuff without having to be at the top.
Yeah.
And everybody else knowing you're at the top. And it took these small moments where it like poked my ego that I remember way more than like trying to find a new job or like some of the big chapters in our life or like, like, I don't know, getting fired from a job, trying to find a new job or like, being rejected by a family member or like whatever it could be. Like it's the small ones that like sometimes in a way kind of hurt the most, maybe because they're so unexpected.
Yes. Yeah.
Maybe that's why, but it's interesting how those shape us even more in a way. Those small humbling moments. How do you think, or why do you think men often miss these moments? Like, why do you think, they just go unnoticed by men a lot of the times? Or maybe that's a bad way to phrase the question. Maybe it's, why do they not see the lesson? Yeah, like the opportunity there to like become better, or like, is it because they are viewed as so small, or like, do some people like not feel that? Like, are there some people out there that like don't feel the ego poke that we do? Like, are their egos so big? That like they don't even notice when they've been poked.
Probably. There's probably they're probably.
I guess that's my question.
I mean, there is something called narcissism, right? Where you see the things through a lens.
That's exactly what that is.
Yeah, 100%. That's like where everything is deflected. Like the way to survive and to protect. They're living in survival mode. Narcissists of like, I have to constantly either be the hero or the victim. There's no middle ground, so I'm constantly deflecting to make myself look like either one. But but we're talking about these everyday men out there, because I'm like, it's just a lot of us, we just don't have the practice. We don't take stock at the end of the day. We don't reflect and go, hey, what was good, or why didn't I like that, or why didn't that go well, or we don't think, or we think constantly in an adjusted behavior of like, well, I just won't do that again. It's like if something goes wrong, or whether it's at work or in your marriage or in a relationship or, even in sports. Think about in sports. It's like, like if you make a bad play, you don't do it like, and you immediately think, well, I just won't do that again. It's like, well, you just doomed yourself because now I try to.
You're going to strike out again.
100%.
Yeah.
It's like, well, then you're not playing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. But I think we think we do that in life. And it's like, well, no, the answer is like, how do I go, I think differently about this? How do I process? How do I improve? How do I get help? How do I seek help? Get that humility piece, right?
Well, is there anything like more refreshing, like a man that you respect and like look up to, like willing to acknowledge, like, or tell a story about a time that they screwed up? Like, I love it when guys 100%. Guys that are like super successful. Like, I've got guys in my life that are in their 50s and that I'm like, I want to be like that guy. Yeah. And almost every single time, like when they tell a story about like a vulnerable moment, it's almost like another way to connect. And then my respect for them doesn't go down because they struck out. My respect for them goes up.
You're right.
Because it's like, oh, he's willing to admit it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And anyway, even when you're like, oh, he could make a mistake, man. You know what I mean? Like he's got it going on.
Right.
And then when you hear a story about when they actually did mess up or like they were embarrassed. Like, is there anything worse than feeling embarrassed as a man? Like, you know what I mean? Like, probably there is, but like that guy felt embarrassed like this one time. I went through something like that, like respect. My point is respect doesn't go down when you hear somebody like that say that. It's like, I respect that guy even more. Yeah. And I like him even more. I want to spend time with this guy, like I want to be around him. I want to hear more stories like that.
Humility is attractive. I don't, some way along the lines, maybe we miss that as young boys, and we miss that part, right? Or maybe there's a way to protect ourselves by not being humble. But you make a good point, Bo. It's like, it really is when some guys are willing to humble in that moment and actually, oh man, that a moment where I was embarrassed, I was humbled, I was disappointed, or I failed, like, oh, that's a great learning tool. Something I learned that I can then, one, it improves my life, improves what I do on a regular basis, but also can be helpful for somebody else. Like that just process that, it's wild that so many men are in their 50s, 60s, and 70s and just never really done that. It's like any bit of failure they internalized or they just dismissed. They threw it off. And like that is a mark of somebody that is really, one, attractive to someone to learn from, but also like someone who is really needs to have respect. It's wild. You think about those type of men, and it's like, yeah, unfortunately they're few and far between, but yeah, it's
and when you find one, you're like, I just want to spend. And when you think, this is kind of nerd now a little bit, but when you think, like I think about like with some of the marketing books I've read, Donald Miller, Storyteller.
Yeah.
When you think about the path of a superhero in a story, so we're talking about a superhero, somebody that's held in massively high regard, who has some kind of special power or whatever. Right. And it doesn't have to be a superhero. It could be, you could think of a million different movies, but
he talks about the hero's journey.
The hero's journey. Yeah. So you go on this ascent, you face conflict, you fall flat on your face. Yeah. Like what we're talking about. You find what's he call it? The helper. Mm-hmm. You find a guide. The guide comes along, and then he or she helps guide you back to whatever ascent you were on. And that's like the blueprint of story that has shaped hundreds of years of what's like we've looked at. And so for men to not be able to so the fascinating part of what we're talking about to me is the falling flat on your face moment. Yeah. Whether it's big, whether it's you get fired from a job, or whether Dax Shepard makes you look like an idiot in a steak roast. You know what I mean?
Right.
They're both similar. And you can both learn from each. And I've even found in the past, the smaller ones where I even feel more embarrassed at times, you know, because they're so unexpected and they offer such an opportunity to okay, no, I'm going to learn not to do that again. Right. There's definitely humility here that I need to learn, you know, and then also, how can I kind of avoid this in the future? Or how can I, you know, how can I not do this again? Even though you will do it again. I don't mean it like that, but how can I use it as a learning opportunity, not necessarily like, you know, a moment that like people even lose more respect for you for, in a way.
Say that question again. I'm still kind of like, help me understand what you're asking. That was a lot you just said. How do you what?
Hold on, let me start over from the beginning.
Yeah.
20 minutes. This will take 20 minutes.
Yeah.
No, it's not really a question. It's like a just on the pathway of like what a story looks like in the past, like the blueprint of the story.
Yeah.
And as men, why is it so hard to fall flat on our face and not see the value in it? I guess it's because of the emotion of it in that moment.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. I'm sorry. I gotta go to the restroom, and that's what I'm thinking about right now. So, in all honesty, probably should. But
this can you tell this coffee hit at like the 30-minute mark?
Yeah, it did, man. Woo! No, but I'm with you. Like Bo, I am like 100%. That was another 100% what I'm talking about when I love interviewing people, because I love their hero's journey, their story. When we understand the story of our life and actually use those humbling moments for the benefit of us, like it's us, our story being part of the bigger story. Because that's like, I mean, the Joseph Campbell, when he came up with that, he was studying literature. He was studying the Bible. He was studying throughout history these arcs. Talked about in episode 1, the story arc of our life. Like, that is what's unique about being human. And when we neglect that part of our just making,
the embarrassment,
the
fall on your face,
we miss out on really figuring out, 1, who we really are, but 2, how to really grow.
Yeah.
You know, like embracing that story, embracing what God has done in our life, using the good, the bad, the ugly, the fun, the embarrassments, like all of that is part of molding us into something, really us discovering more of who He what He has for us and who He's made us to be. It's like, man, if we allow that to happen, that could happen. But most of us don't. Most of us don't like to think of us that way. We want to insulate ourselves from pain with money, addictions, rejection, job title, right? We want to insulate ourselves from all that instead of going, you know what? I'm on a pretty cool little story, and this little blip is going to propel me to something greater if I allow it. For most of us, that makes sense. Yeah, because you nailed it. Do we have anything else, Bo? Is there anything else?
That was a really good close.
That was a good close?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Awesome. All right. Thanks for listening.